to you, really, if you want to upload it or not.
Okay. I would like it actually,
Okay.
just to be able to refer back.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I can upload it privately as well. Like if you don't want it to be
Oh,
public.
no, I don't mind if it's public.
Okay. Yeah, sweet. All right. Let's see. Blue side. We're playing Vlad versus Akali.
I have been one-tricking him.
Yeah, I respect that. Okay, so Vlad, if you're going like the Ghost Phase Rush build, you're pretty much just trying to rush to your first item as quick as possible, and that's when you really
Right.
start to kind of, snowball. And I think that's what you got here, right? Like you got the Dark Seal. Definitely playing more for the white item spikes. We'll kind of see. Okay, so I'd say straight away you're playing the lane too passively. So
Uh,
Um, if you're playing Vlad versus like pretty much any assassin, you're gonna be favored, I would say. It does depend a little bit. Like some ignite all-in assassins can kill you if they're very strong early. Like an example might be, say, like a Fizz might be able to kill you at level 3, but Akali really can't do anything pre-6 at all. And I'd say Vlad is actually a pretty hard counter to Akali because you kind of scale up at the same time, but Vlad just scales harder. So what you should be looking for here is like start pushing this wave, just like start slow pushing it, try and go for like a 3-wave crash or something. And you really want to be looking to just like queue her and order her like whenever you're able to. It doesn't really make sense that you're standing like this far back in the lane because this kind of says that like all you want to do is AFK scale, which isn't bad, but it's like here you have the option to bully your opponent as well. So you should be looking for that too.
that's something that I struggle with, being sufficiently aggressive when
Yeah.
I should be. Um,
Okay.
so the three-wave crash I hear a lot, and I've seen your videos.
Mhm.
Does that mean slowly pushing so that by the third wave it's crashing, or does that mean
Yeah,
just
yeah,
hard pushing
basically.
two
Let me
waves?
I'll actually go into practice tool and I can just show you real quick kind of
Okay.
how it exactly. Oh wait. I have to create a custom game because I'm level 1. They won't even give me practice tool, man. What kind of scam is that? Okay, let me just go like I don't know. Oh, Trist will be. Let's just go Sona. I'll kind of show you. There's like a couple different ways you can sort of do it. Hopefully I
Okay.
can kind of explain it a bit.
Appreciate that, because I, yeah, I'm just not, I don't quite grasp exactly how to
Yeah.
time it so that the third wave is what crashes.
Yeah, I mean, it does a little bit have to depend with, like, oh my god, why is the HUD so big? Holy fuck. There we go. It is going to depend a little bit, like, on what your opponent's doing, because, obviously they can thin out the wave as well. But, like, normally what you're thinking is you kind of want to push the first and second wave, like, pretty slowly, and then when the third wave arrives, that's when you start, like, spam pushing it, basically. So I'll kind of show you what I mean. Like normally on that first wave, you probably only auto the creeps maybe once or twice more than your opponent. Like if your opponent doesn't auto at all, maybe you only auto say once. And then if your opponent starts to auto, you can start to kind of match auto attacks with them, because you don't want them to kind of push it back to you. Obviously, it's going to be like a little harder for me to show it because I don't have an opponent pushing back to you here. But yeah, I'll try and like show you anyway.
Okay. As for being passive,
Hmm.
I feel like I really have the idea that Vlad is weak early ingrained in my head, and so I kind of my default is to just try to avoid fighting,
Yeah,
um,
I think.
which obviously isn't absolutely true in every scenario.
Yeah, I think Vlad does kind of struggle to actually like get kills, but he's not actually like that weak in lane. Like if you're versus a range champ, you can start D shield, and versus most melees, you can bully anyway. But I mean, let's talk about that in a sec. So, like what I'd be thinking is okay, like the minions or like meet like this, and then I'd maybe just like auto once or twice, and then just like focus on just like having the wave slow push. Like maybe I'll just auto twice so that the creeps are gonna really slowly push to my opponent. Obviously, like if your opponent's autoing more, you might have to look for more autos as well. But basically, this is just gonna like see how it's like slowly building up like this. And your goal is that this wave is gonna keep pushing, but not quite crash. So again, the second wave comes, and you really just like want to focus on not pushing. Like this is actually gonna be a bit harder because I have no one here to kill the creeps, so it's probably gonna crash sooner than I'd like. Because, you know, normally at least if they're last hitting. And in fact, it might still work. Let's see. Because like what normally happens is they've last hit some of these creeps, so there's not quite so many pushing. But what will happen is like the third wave will come. Yeah, okay, this is gonna be slightly too fast. But yeah, like it would happen like this. This wave comes slightly further out, and then actually this kind of worked out. You just kill this third wave as quick as you can. You just like start spam ordering this third wave. Yeah, actually this kind of worked out well, given that I don't have an opponent. So I'd like be spam pushing this wave in. You've got like a giant creep wave here to build up with, and this will go into tower. And then with this, you can either just like harass your opponent a ton on this wave, and the next wave will also be guaranteed to bounce back out to you, because like what's going to happen is this wave, see how it like pulls up on this creep here? So what that basically means is that if I just, like, let's say I just ignore this wave here, you'll see that this creep wave eventually, if we just like wait for a minute, is going to on its own bounce back out, because once all those creeps were pulled onto one target, you know, they focus one down rather than spreading it out like my creep wave is doing. So basically you use those first 3 waves to build up your advantage, and then once you crash it, it's going to like start pushing back to you, you know, like this. And that's when you can look to freeze it, or you can, you know, kind of keep it in the middle, or you can even thin it out if you want. Basically, you can do whatever you want after that point. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah. The notion of crashing so that it bounces back makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
It was just balancing it so that the third wave specifically crashes in. How to pull that off is exactly
Yeah.
what I would.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I guess like the TLDR is like push the first wave really slowly. Second wave, it depends, I guess, like how much your opponent's ordering, and then the third wave, you just like nuke it as much as you can, pretty much.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's helpful.
Okay, and yeah, going back to like the Vlad being like weak early thing. So the thing is, Vlad does have like reasonably long cooldowns early, and if you're going like Ghost Phase Rush, it is pretty hard to pick up a kill. But the thing that Vlad does have is he has like a lot of sustain, and that means that you can like trade HP more effectively than other people can. You know, like if you deal 50 damage and they deal 50 damage back to you, it's much better for you, right? Because you can sustain way more than they can. So like what you'll normally see is like Vlad versus melees, you know, going Dark Seal refillable like you have here, and Vlad versus ranged going, say, Doran Shield, and just like sustaining everything and trying to attack kind of like the mana pool instead. So let me just write some of that down so kind of so you have it for later. But so this is Vladimir versus Akali coaching, and first thing we got is early game, so you can play more aggro. So melee versus, or rather, versus melee, go Dark Seal refillable. Like versus hard ranged, you probably want Thorn Shield. Can play more aggro. So basically, just like try harass your opponent whenever like they go for CS, basically, right? So if we just like pay attention to the last hits, like just like watch your creep's health here. So for example, like this creep here, you know is going to be Akali's next target, so she's going to come up. That means you should look to Q her for it, or auto her for it, or do something to her, basically, right? She just kind of like gets to do it for free. That one's not too bad. And yeah, like I think the wave, actually the wave is kind of okay. I think, yeah, actually no, the wave's not that good. I think what will happen is it just ends up being in the middle, because you can see like in a real game how your opponent is kind of pushing it back like this. I guess like another good rule would be, so like 3-wave crash, be like push first 2 waves slowly, push third one quickly, and try and maintain a 1 creep advantage. So like if you look at this, right now it's 3 creeps versus 3, so it's probably not really going to push much to her, you know? Especially because she's sending it out as well.
She does end up, I think, doing the 3-wave crash. It might have been 4 or 5 or something awkward, but she does it to me, and I feel the hurt to the
yeah,
base.
Definitely does not really make a whole lot of sense. Because like, yeah, you can definitely be the one like hitting level 2 first, hitting level 3 first, harassing her under tower if you want, but instead it's like, yeah, she's the one who's actually getting to trade with you, which doesn't really make sense. Like there's like a million reasons why pushing the first 3 waves is better. Yeah, if you've watched like the video on it, I'm sure you've kind of heard them before. But you know, basically it's just like level advantage, creep advantage, lots of good things. So yeah, this doesn't really make sense. Like the early lane is going way worse for you, basically because those first 3 waves were kind of played a little badly, I'd say. Um, Another thing that you're kind of going to have to get used to is if you are pushing more, you're probably going to start need to thinking about the jungle a bit more. Because I think if you're playing all your games the way you are right now, the jungle can't really look for you because you're so safe. But if you're pushing, the jungle will definitely look for you, right? And the way to kind of avoid jungle ganks is at level. So I'm gonna actually make a little section. Avoiding jungle ganks is at level 1, like find out where the jungle starts, and then basically at 2 minutes 30, ward the opposite side. So like what happens is here we know the jungler is starting bot because we see Morden lane, but we don't see their bot lane and lane. And what that means is their jungler is gonna just like clear some of these camps and then swap. And as long as you ward here at about 2 minutes 30, there should be no way for you to get ganked. So that should keep you safe from any aggression. Even if you're pushing up kind of far in the lane. Does that one make sense?
That does make sense, yeah.
Okay.
Usually what I'm concerned about by pushing is that early gank, but I guess
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
I'm attentive enough, it shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, normally if you ward well and like, you know, you've got phase rush and ghosts, like you shouldn't really be gankable. And at worst case, like you can pop a sum and just run.
Right. I do rarely die to ganks, but part of that, of course, is probably being too passive.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, you take quite a bit of damage here, but it's like sort of fine. So yeah, this would be like another thing. So you before the game starts, you really need to like look up your opponent's cooldowns and just like figure out like just in general how long they're gonna be. So like for example, if we go right here, we search up like Akali, go to the wiki, like on this fandom site here, and let's have a look at her cooldowns. So the Q cooldown, it's 1.5, you know, it's more energy based than cooldown. But what we're looking at here is W has a 20-second cooldown and E has a 16-second cooldown. And what that means is that whenever Akali uses these, she's going to be weak for a very, very long time. So like right here, if we go back a little bit, where was it? Like Akali uses everything on you here. So during this period, Akali is extremely weak and you can just like, you don't need to be scared of her. Like you see how you're kind of like walking away? The problem is like she just like shouldn't really be allowed to trade at those times. Even here, like the W is still not up. So you can just like, yeah, you can be like really aggro. And then I think same thing's going to happen here. She kind of uses everything on you. Like now it's your turn to be aggressive. So you can like, you can probably position further up here. It's a bit scary again because you don't have a ward. But if you did, like you can be more aggressive. So yeah, I guess the biggest feedback so far would be to start thinking about like cooldowns and CS. Like, yeah, CDs and CS. Those are the things like you're trying to punish those. That's really important.
What feels like happens when she trades onto me with her E and W is that I'll get a Q back on her, maybe my E as well, and then I'm waiting for those to come back up before I try to go at her. And I know her W is a long cooldown, but it feels like by the time I'm like ready, I'm just worried that she'll outtrade me, like just with Q and autos and walking into the minions.
Yeah, I think part of it is that you're trading maybe too much into the Shroud. Like, you know, let's kind of see here. So, like, you use Q, right? So she knows you don't have Q up, I think. Is that what happened? Yeah, so like right here, you kind of, you don't want to take this much damage in the Shroud. Like the reason she's able to do this is because, like, the creeps are sort of similar. Normally, you would have more creeps than her, so she wouldn't really get to choose when to trade. But the reality is, like, because you let her do this, you kind of just need to, like, give up this cannon, honestly. Because, like, yeah, she's, like, shrouded, and your goal now is to just, like, not take damage in this trade. Instead, you take, like, an extra 200 or something, you know? Like, see how just by staying in the shroud, you make it really worth it for her? So, yeah, it's like a bunch of things kind of in combination. It's that you don't have enough creeps because you didn't push early enough. And also that meant that you didn't damage her enough, like at level 1 and level 2, before she could get like 2 points in Q or take E. And then, yeah, it's also that whenever she uses Shroud, you pretty much just need to run and be willing to give up like a CS, just not to kind of get destroyed in the trade.
I guess my thought was, I thought the damage was going to happen anyway, so I might as well try to trade back a little bit. But
Yeah, well, if you take like one Q auto and just like E on the way out, like that's fine. But it's that first one there, it's like, you know, I mean, we can go back and look at it, but I think you took like a ton more damage than you needed
Yeah,
to. Like
yeah,
this
it was
one.
a lot.
Like what was it? It was like, yeah, I think right now it's like if she Ws and you just E and you just like backed out. In fact, yeah, maybe you can still get the cannon and you just back out. This is like completely fine, you know?
Okay.
It's just like one Q auto, damage has been traded back. But instead, it's like you stay around, you take another auto Q. I think she messed up getting out of that last thing. She probably could have ordered you again. So then that trade would just be terrible, you know?
Yeah.
Would not be worth
Yeah,
it at all. Okay.
So this here was painful because I knew she got a perfect back off. Or
Oh, she got a kill. Yeah. Which, yeah, she shouldn't really happen. Like, you should just be in control most of the time. Yeah, that's really rough. Like, she gets 2 kills, which sucks. Because normally, Vlad just, like, wants... You know, you want to pressure your... Actually, Vlad is a lot like Victor, where you can pressure your opponent a lot, 1v1, but you don't really want any actual fights early. You just want to, like, try and hit your one item before too much happens. So her getting 2 kills, like, really sucks. Yeah, but you come back, freeze the waves. That's not too bad. Like, in fact... You're in like a decent spot. Should get her healing reduction. But here she uses Shroud too far up, so it doesn't really matter. You can't really take any damage there. Okay, here you need to be kind of careful about your positioning. So, like, when you're positioned out here, she Qs you, and it doesn't hit the creep wave, right? And that's good, because she has to choose between pushing the creep wave and hitting you. So this positioning is solid. But, like, where is it? Like, right here, when you're trying to harass her from inside the creep wave, you allow her to hit the creep wave and you at the same time. You never want that. You always want to be like out here or out here. And the only time you would need to be maybe scared of doing this, or like standing out here, would be if you were really scared of her Eing onto you. Like here she doesn't even have E, so it's not really relevant, I would say. So I guess another like feedback for you for the early game, just in general, would be you kind of need to think about like how does the enemy champ trade and like what are you trying to avoid? Because like, you know, if you're against a lot of skill shot champions, say a Syndra or a Lux or Xerath, you know, against those champs you really need to stand outside the wave. If you're versus something like Talia, you might want to stand inside the wave to be behind the creeps. Or if you're versus something like Ori, you might want to have the creeps in front of you as well, because the creeps reduce your Q damage. If you're versus a champ like Zed, you might be thinking, okay, the enemy trades mainly by WEQing me, so I just need to make sure I dodge the Qs. You know, that sort of stuff, right? So just like think about how the enemy champ trades, and then like, how am I gonna deal with it? Slash like position around it, basically. Okay, your waves still decent. You start pushing because Akali shows, which is fine. So Akali goes and dies, which is great news for you.
Yeah. This one was disappointing because I thought I'd have time, but I didn't push fast.
Yeah, I think if you're in this situation, you probably want to ult the wave and just kill it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you want to ult this wave. Because I think, yeah, not being able to reset here sucks. Yeah. Okay, so you're forced to stay in lane, which is not too bad. It just means you can't really, like, pressure that much. You get roamed on, but you survive. Okay, another thing is that if you're losing priority against a roaming champion, it's normally better, rather than placing a ward here, to place a ward in the lane. And because what that tells you is it means, like, you will see them going top or bot, so you get to know which direction they're going, or if they're baiting. So it just, like, tells you more information. Because let's actually go to all vision. Like, let's just say you place the ward, like, right here. You would see that, okay, right now Akali would be topside, right? And then, you know, we've still got your ward right here. You would see, again, Akali walking topside. But the problem is, you sort of know this is happening because you don't see her on bot side. But at the same time, like, in theory, she can be walking that way. She could be basing. She could be going to blue. But if you have a ward in the lane, it tells you exactly what she's doing. Like, she is pathing top river, and there's only one place she can be. So, just, like, general thing is, if you're losing this roaming champion, just like ward the lane. In fact, a lot of the time, even when you're winning versus roaming champions, you'll want to ward the lane just because it tells you like where they're going basically. Because I think if you're just missing ping, like no one's gonna respect that, to be honest with you. Like you gotta normally you've gotta like back ping the lane they're ganking. But the problem is if you don't know which lane they're going to, it's really hard, right?
Right. Yeah. If I can ping right in their face because I know
Yeah.
which side it is.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so this is still like decent enough for you, I would say. Um Yeah, wave's frozen anyways, that's fine.
So I wasn't sure if I should have tried to help top. I didn't want to. I didn't intuitively think I should, but
Nah, I don't think you should. It's just like
okay.
the thing is when you're playing one of these champs again like Victor and Vladimir that are like strong 1v1 but don't want stuff to happen, it's like if that stuff does happen, there's not much you can do about it. So you really need to make sure that shit doesn't happen. You know, you need to be winning your lane 1v1 so she can't roam, or placing wards in lane so that you know where she's going. Like it's your job to stop Akali from doing stuff. It's not so much your team's job to respect, even though they should. The reality is it's solo queue, so they won't, right? Like, if Akali gets the opportunity to roam, it's probably going to work, just because it's solo queue.
Yeah, and that's what I'm looking for, ways that I can prevent all that stuff from happening.
Yeah. Okay. Like, yeah, now I think you should have a pretty good time preventing her, because, like, you're pretty strong on the 1v1. And I think, yeah, okay, solo kill. Yeah, I mean, now you're in a great spot. I think this is pretty nitpicky, but I think this ward kind of sucks. So if you're this far ahead, you can either get deeper wards, like you can look towards something like this, because this ward is like, it's sort of selfish, and you're not that gankable anyway, because you have like phase rush and W. So it's like, you know, I feel like this ward just doesn't tell you a whole lot. I think either like ward here, and if you don't have time to do that because you're pushing this wave, then just save your ward, or even ward right here and then base.
Okay.
So I'd actually be,
yeah,
I'd be surprised if it ended up doing anything.
It is just habitual.
Yeah. Okay, so we see Akali. Get the shard for free, which feels good. Yeah, so this feels kind of bad, I think. Like, let's see. So you know, yeah, you know they're in Bot River, which is why it's sort of hard. Okay, actually, I think you can play more aggressive here as long as you hug to topside. So another kind of general thing is you don't want to be like hugging the middle of the lane. Like you pretty much always want to be playing either towards topside, like in this area, or towards bot side, like in this area, sort of thing, you know? If you're just standing in the middle, one, it's not very pressuring onto your opponent, and two, it doesn't actually make you that safe from ganks. So like, if the reason you're playing safe here is because you're scared of ganks, it's actually much safer for you to be here than it is for you to be here. You know what I mean? Now, if you're scared of Akali in the 1v1, I can sort of understand that, but at the same time, you don't need to be, because you're like miles ahead of her. Yeah, because I think, like, if you just like look at how strong you are compared to her, like you have all sums up, you're level 10 versus level 9, you spend more gold than her, but like she's the one who's kind of like CSing for free, you know? Like, you're not pushing her off the wave, you know, like threatening to order her tower, you know, like trying to chunk her out. All your abilities are used for CS, and that'll be another thing, is that especially if you're winning, like you don't want to use abilities to CS, because normally the losing player is forced to use abilities to CS. And that has like a cascading effect of like, if you use an ability to CS, one, it's on cooldown, so now it can be punished, and two, you don't get to use it on your opponent, so, you know, it just kind of gets wasted, and you just like fall further and further behind. So here, it makes sense that Akali is forced to farm with Q, because she's weaker than you. But like, you're the one who's winning. What should happen is like, you're far up enough in the lane, like standing here, that every Q and E can be used on her, and then like, you just farm these creeps with autos.
I remember not feeling stronger than her, but obviously I should recognize the level difference.
Yeah, I think like, you can maybe feel a little scared of her all-inning you with Ignite, but honestly, if you trade Ghost for Ignite and just run away, Like, then she never has any kill threat onto you again. So, you should feel stronger. Yeah, good hugging here, actually. Although, I think he left the wave kind of at a bad time. Like, you really don't want to do this, you know? Just like...
Yeah, Renekton was begging, and I fall to peer pressure pretty easily.
Ah, okay.
I wanted to, I don't know, fight the guy's river or something.
I think that ward, again, by the way, is, like, pretty useless.
Oh, yeah.
Like, even if you ward Raptors or Red, it goes further. Like, you only ward this very early in the game, because you don't really have time, or, like, the lead to ward any further. But here, it's like, you have a lead, you have time, might as well just ward a bit further. And also, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense, I feel like, because... I feel like you're safer topside. Like, you got more vision topside, and your jungler's topside, but you're actually hugging to the other side. Like, where is Sedge here? Yeah, like, in theory, if Sedge is here, comes over the wall, like, I don't think you can die, again, because you're very hard to gank. Like, the thing with Vlad is that, you know, you kind of get a get-out-of-jail-free card a lot of the time, but this is actually the, like, way riskier side of the lane. So you need to start... I can tell you just, like, don't really think about it a whole lot, and it's pretty important. Okay. You kind of gotta respect while there's supports here, so not too much. I don't know why both supports just live mid now, but I guess that's just League of Legends. And then, yeah, like I think, so you have Prio, but you're kind of forced to lose it because Trist is nearby. Yeah, so there's not that much you can do here. Yeah, you don't have your first item. Yeah, I think that was like kind of bad. So yeah. I'm pretty sure you just don't want to fight this. Like, you have 1500 gold and you still haven't hit one item. If you want to just like have a look at this, that's fine. Like, I think this is okay. It's just try and like get out of here without losing too much, because you really want Flash, at least Flash, if not Ghost as well, for the next fight. So if you like fully commit to this, like walking back in, and now you're forced to what? Flash and Ghost? Yeah, like that really sucks, because now, you know, that window where you actually do have one item is just a lot weaker. Yeah, this
sucks. That was a bad choice, but I just didn't really understand the consequences fully.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty painful. Okay. This guy just went first item Morello. That fucking sucks for you. Yeah, like if you have Flash goes to you.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be great to have those here.
Yeah, like even just having one of them would be nice. The ult's good. You just like get a kill, and then you'd be able to flash out, or you'd be able to ghost out. Yes, that would definitely be good. And then you could even probably re-engage. So, yeah, if you had sums there, it would probably be really good. Like, okay, even this game... Oh, what the fuck? What happened here? Did I get... Yeah, my screen got more altered now. What the fuck? Okay. Like, this game, right? It looks really one-sided. Like, the enemy team is kind of just, like, stomping you across the board. But if you think, like, you know, let's just say you won your lane a little harder, you denied, like, one of these Akali roams, and you had sums here, like, you would just win this fight, and then maybe you can actually win this game. So, like, small differences can actually make a difference in, like, what looks to be a pretty fucking unwinnable game. Might actually be winnable.
And that's why I was thinking about this game, because it felt impossible to win, purely. But I knew, obviously, that I could have done better.
Yeah. Yeah, so see now, I mean, you've got your item, which is nice, but the problem is the enemy team is really accelerated. And like another thing about Vlad is that Vlad typically farms faster than other champs. So like the more kills they get, the worse it is for you. Because you can kind of just like get your lead from farming normally, but they can't. Yeah, I don't think there's much you can do there. You didn't have ult to begin with. I think now, honestly, the game might just be, like, too far gone. Like, you can farm and do your best if they throw, but, like, your team's down 10,000 gold, so it's not really up to you guys anymore. It's really just if they throw, you can win. Otherwise, yeah. Okay, actually one thing here is that you should definitely go Void second this game. So, like, let's go back a little bit to when did you buy this? Okay, yeah, so like, before you're itemizing your Shadow Flame here, if you like tab and look at the enemy team and you see like 2 Merc Treads already and you're playing double AP, triple AP, you know they're going to build more
okay.
MR, right? So that means you kind of have to go Void second, which it sucks, to be honest with you, because like Shadow Flame is more raw damage, but the reality is if you don't build Void, the magic resist items in the game, like right now, are just too strong. Like Mercs is OP, Maw is OP, Wit's End is OP, so like you really need to be willing to itemize more pretty early. Like let's just see, if we go to like, where is it? So you have this fight, you go and buy your alternator, and like, let's have a look at how much AMR people have in the next fight. Yeah, now this guy's Jack Show as well. Nah, you're just not gonna be able to deal any damage. I mean, let's just pause right now and have a look. So, like, Mord has 133 magic resist. So, you deal no damage to that guy. Sedge is kind of cheating because she has her passive thing, but like currently she has 83. Akali has 98, and it's really only the bot lane who doesn't have any. But like,
Okay.
the reality is, unless you have like a really good flank, you're not gonna be able to hit their bot lane until you kill these guys anyway.
Yeah, that's
So
true. I was
yeah,
kind of, well, a couple of things. I wasn't respecting the Merc Treads as much.
yeah,
I looked for like main magic resist items,
yeah,
and then I was also banking on getting to their backline. But in hindsight, with Mord and Sejuani, it doesn't really
yeah.
make
I think
sense.
like if your team's winning, you should be able to pretty consistently get to the back line. Because like, you know, Vlad is a flanking champion, but it's gonna be pretty difficult if your team's as far behind because, you know, you guys are probably the ones getting engaged on. You're not gonna have like Dragon and Baron control. And also the other thing is like, remember that you kind of have to like, you almost have to itemize. Oh wait, I guess we're in the mid game, but like you kind of gotta like itemize preemptively almost. Like you guys are playing triple AP, so it's almost a guarantee that they're gonna build magic resist. And what can be really
That's why.
awkward is if like if you finish Shadow Flame and then all their MR items come in, but then you still have 2600 or 2800 now gold that you have to get before you can deal damage. That feels really bad because like it's much harder to get that gold if you can't kill people, right? So yeah, Bum Campso's good. Back to your vision. I mean, let's actually see who you're hitting in the fights. I'm pretty sure it's just going to be people that have magic resist. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, here you're queuing Mord and it deals, like, I don't know, like 100 damage. Oh, also worth noting, by the way, if you do build Void second, you don't normally want to go Shadow Flame third. You normally just want to go Rabadons after that, because by third item, Rabadons is just more damage anyway. So, like,
Okay.
Shadow Flame is pretty
Yeah.
exclusively a second item. Yeah, I just thought I'd brought
I
that up
usually try
because
to
some
get.
people forget.
I try to get death cap at least by third item,
Yeah, okay.
regardless.
Nice, nice. Okay, so this guy dies. You get a shutdown, which is nice. I guess maybe here, if you had sums, you could probably get to their backline. But without him, you know, you're just targeting the Sid. Oh my god, she has Aftershock right now with 171. Goes down to 70 at the very lowest. Then you just die. I mean, to be honest, the rest of this game, I don't think it matters much. I'd rather look at the other one. But let's just like go back and quickly look at the lane. Like, let's say you had control of these first 3 waves. It would prevent these first 2 kills that come out of Akali. Like, if you're the one pushing, you have control, you've placed down a ward, it's difficult for her to do anything, you would be able to stop Akali from doing this, where she just, like, pushes and walks top. Like, these kills should never happen if you play better, and that means, like, your jungler doesn't die, your top laner doesn't die here either, so the game would be 2-2. Obviously, Akali would be a lot weaker than she is right now. And then also, where was the second one? I think it was like, yeah, this one, you would know about this as well. So like right now, your top laner is actually shitting on theirs, right? Like if you look at it, despite your top laner dying to your mid early, he's actually still destroying. But this one is really like the nail in the coffin. You know, they're both very low, but your mid gets there first, and now it's like, you know, now it's kind of fucked.
Yeah,
It's
both those roams
yeah, and both of
should have
those,
not
if
happened.
you're better, like don't happen at all. Especially
Right.
if you can improve your laning phase. So, yeah, we'll have a look at the other one. Actually, this is another kill from your mid, right? Yeah, it is. So, yeah, I guess like for this game in particular, it's like the main thing is to start like 3 waves, 3 wave crash, like push aggressively early, especially versus melee. It is more difficult versus range, but also most range sort of suck at roaming early, so it's not a problem. Um, Try punish CS and CDs. So like when they go for CS, like harass them. When they use CDs, like try trade. And then like think about how the enemy champ trades. Basically, it's just all the stuff really to do with laning phase. Like I think your laning phase is just like too weak, sort of. And then maybe like yeah, the warding. So like try ward lane versus roaming champs. Roam further out, or sorry, ward further out if you have time. That's good. And then yeah, maybe a little bit about hugging. Oh, actually, I want this one to be in there. If you're winning, don't use abilities to CS, because every time you use an ability, that's like the opportunity for them to punish a cooldown, right? And it just gets wasted. So,
Okay.
yeah, I think that game, that was actually a really good choice by you, by the way, to like show me that game, because,
Yeah.
yeah, that was a good one. We can have a look at this one as well.
This one, I haven't looked at this one closely. I'm sure I'll cringe as soon as I start watching it, but
Okay.
I think I got pretty tilted. I'm not sure.
Okay. Okay, now this one, I would, it's up to you. I would potentially go D shield in this matchup.
Yeah, I think I would from now on. I recently tried it against an Orianna, and it felt like I was taking no damage at all. It
Yeah,
was great.
yeah.
Um, so I'll be trying that more.
Yeah, because I think like what I'd mainly be thinking is like, okay, my opponent has Ignite, so if I just survive and she can't kill me, then I'm already like winning because you got Ghost. And the other thing would be they have a ganking jungler, so if you get low on HP, you're gonna get ganked. You know, like you really need to maintain high health against this combo, or you're gonna
Yeah,
die.
get myself away from a threshold.
Yeah. Okay. Still your vision. Okay, so first thing is Shaco. This is very Shaco specific, but Shaco is one of the few junglers that can level 2 gank. Like they can do like red mid or they can do like 2 camps mid. So here you need to find out where Shaco is starting, and I think actually maybe you can't because he's solo starting. Okay, yeah, so he's solo starting. I guess it's more likely that he solo starts bot side, so I think you should probably be playing towards top side just in case. But I don't think you're gonna get ganked here anyway. But yeah, just in case, you should be topside. Good punish on the cooldown. Yeah, so I think here you probably could look for punish as well. Like, let's have a look. So your Q is what, 9 seconds? Or 8.3 with CDR. Her E is like 13 or something. Yeah, Q is what, like 10? 8. So right here, like you have a window 6 and 9 on these, and you have Q in 3. So on the next creep she goes for, I think rather than queuing this creep, you can honestly just queue her before her cooldowns come back up. You know what I mean? Like order that creep and queue her probably. Maybe not actually, because the creep wave is so big. Let's have a look again. Okay, I think if you were on this side of the lane to where you didn't have to like walk past the creeps to do it, it's probably worth it. But if you're like walking across, that can feel kind of bad. And just in general, like if you don't want to trade, normally you want to be on the opposite side to your opponent because they have to cross like a larger distance and they also have to walk in the creep wave, right? But if you want to punish your opponent, normally you want to move onto the same side as them because that makes the distance far shorter and it means there's not as many creeps in the way. So how would I describe this? Let's make a new section. This is like Vlad is Vex. Basically like try I guess like think, or it's not even that. It's like try position around the CS the enemy wants. Like try and find a way that when they go for that CS, you can punish them. And normally that just means like standing near the creep, pretty much, that you want to harass on.
I think here I was trying to give myself as much space as possible because I have a really hard time dodging Vex abilities. I mean, obviously I need to get better at that, but
Yeah, I mean, you
think that's
you can position out here until
right.
she uses cooldowns, and then you can chain,
And then
right?
transition it. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
like
I
because
see.
like right here, like I think this is fine. You're right. Like you have a lot of distance to play with, but like now she has no cooldown, so you could like walk right here and then
Okay,
look to punish next cooldown, and then you could go back if you wanted.
okay.
Okay, jungler's here. Yeah, there's still quite a lot of creeps, so that's kind of to be expected. There's not too much you can do here. Okay, but now she's pretty so she's probably going to look to base. You can look to either slow... do you want to slow push or fast push? Okay, actually, no, there's a lot of things you can do here. So, I think at this point, like, she's low on mana, so you know she really wants to base. So, here are your choices. It's either you can ward the lane to try figure out if she's going to base. Because if you ward the lane and she does base, you can actually just freeze the lane and then base yourself, and it'll lose more for her. So, like, let's say like right here, she's going to base. You just hold this wave, and then you pull it up, and you recall as well. And what happens is she loses this whole wave, and you come back to a frozen wave. So that's like one thing you can do. The other thing would be, you can just like look to fast push this, knowing that she is recalling right now, because if she stays, she won't have any mana to harass you anyway. And if she bases, then she loses the wave, right? I think slow pushing this wave is probably the worst decision, because it's going to mean that she gets back into lane with an item advantage over you, and then the wave's going to be frozen for her. So it should feel really difficult to break this. Okay, maybe... Yeah, like, I think if I'm her right now, I feel so good. She has, like, items over you. The wave's not big enough to where it should be able to crash, and she should be able to just, like, thin this out and stop you from basing. Yeah, which is what's going to happen, right? And now you're sort of fucked. So, basically,
Okay.
it's, like... way back here. Two choices. Try and push this to keep her in lane, or, like, deny her the wave, or just... as soon as you notice or think about the fact that she's going to base here, just like pull this wave either into this bush or up here, and then just recall.
I'll be honest, I think I probably would have tried to freeze there if I had thought about her mana bar. I
Yeah,
think I
okay.
just forgot to think about that this time.
Yeah, alright. Well, that's definitely like real important if you're playing Vlad, because
Yeah,
like most of the time you're attacking their mana early rather than their health.
right. Getting, yeah, I'm working on that one.
Okay. Yeah, as long as you're aware of it, it's good. But I guess also be aware of how fucked you are now, right?
Yeah,
Like, she's based and you haven't, and now it's like really awkward to try find a reset. You're probably
I
gonna
hadn't
lose
made the
something.
connection between how crappy this lane feels right now and me not paying attention to her mana bar.
Yeah.
So it's good to have that drawn out.
Yeah, because now you're just like stuck in lane for like a really long time. And even though you base now with like more CS than her, like once again, like this is fucked, right? Like you're gonna
Right.
lose another
Yeah,
6
she's
creep.
already pushing.
You probably even want to ult one of these waves, right? Like yeah, I think you ult this wave. It's really common on, you know, Victor and Vlad to just ult a wave for a better reset.
Okay.
Because it's like you don't really want to fight that much early, and the cooldown's not super long. So yeah, just nuke that wave, get back. Now you should be in a pretty solid spot, I think. Yeah, nice positioning there. I really like that. Yeah, I'm not sure if you're doing it on purpose, but the positioning here is like really, really good. So you're positioning in a way that she feels threatened. Like, you know, when she goes for this creep, see how threatening your position is. So she feels like, okay, either I go for this creep and take damage, or I like use abilities on the CS, but then you can punish the cooldown. And like right here as well, really good positioning, like standing outside the wave. You could do this a bit better and be a bit further up so that you can punish this cooldown earlier. Like I think if you're positioned here as opposed to here, it's a bit better because that way you can get onto it quicker. but it's still really good. Like, do you see how the positioning is like leading to this happening?
See.
I'd say this positioning here is actually bad. So like you do really well to start. This is really good too. When you suddenly swap to playing inside the wave to where she can hit the minions and you, that feels really, really bad. Because like now it's easy for her. You made it super easy for her. So I guess like just be really conscious of your positioning. Because it's really important. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so she probably reset again, which is sort of annoying, but doesn't really matter. Holy shit, the game's 11-1. What happened? What happened to our teammates? Like, honestly, a game that starts like this seems way more unwinnable than the last game. And you actually ended up winning this game, right?
Yeah, I mean, they threw many times
Okay.
in this game.
Like, if my team starts 12-3 and, like, my laner hasn't impacted at all, I'm thinking, like, dude, like, what the fuck is wrong with my team?
Yeah, this is one of those games where I don't really give up, but I take it as like, okay, this is practice tool extended now.
Yeah. I like that. Okay, so again, I think the reason this happens is because she gets a base over you kind of without you knowing. So every time someone bases, they come back with more items than you, right? So that means like if you don't spend your gold, they're ahead. So like right here, the moment you know that this guy's reset, you need to push ASAP and reset as well because... Oh wait, is this the time? Maybe I'm thinking of a different time. No, it is this time. So she bases and picks up Lost Chapter, and you still have like gold that could be used. But instead what happens is like you get stuck in lane and you don't know that she's reset. And now it's like, if we look at combat power here, it's like 400 plus 1300, and then, you know, the boots as well. And you've only got like 900, 350, and then like 430. So you've got like less than her, right? And so now, even though you were kind of like winning, you just start getting bullied, and the price for that is like you lose a plate, so like she gets that, and at some point you're gonna have to give up a wave. So like this guy, in terms of like cooldowns and positioning, I would say is worse than you, but he's just like destroying you in base timings right now, and that's like what's causing you to lose so much.
Yeah. What would be the best way for me to know that she backed there? Because
Normally it's warding the lane. Like if you're if you're like stuck under tower or you're trying to freeze, you really need to ward the lane because you need to know what your opponent's doing. So it's like, yeah, if you're like on your side perma, you just like ward the lane, because the thing is, if you're stuck on this side of the lane anyway, it's not like any ward you place elsewhere is going to be valuable, and at the same time you're not gankable anyway. You know, it's like if you walk and place a ward here, well, that's kind of useless. If you place a ward here, also pretty useless. So yeah, if you're not getting priority, you should be warding the lane. Like, let's see some... There's probably... I'm sure there's some examples. Like... This was your first base. Come back to lane. Now, why didn't you have a ward here? I didn't see where it was used. But anyway, let's just wait for it to come back up. Okay, she actually based when you didn't have a ward. Okay, let me go back. So where was the wards used? There's used two, but I don't know where they were. Okay, like, this ward, I would say, is kind of fine, but this ward is terrible. Like, so one is you don't want to use both your trinkets at the same time, because the trinkets have a long cooldown, right? So normally you want to space them out. You don't want to normally let them stack up to 2, because that means it's like wasting the regen, like, of the cooldown. But, like, you pretty much just want to alternate them, really. And so, like, using them both here means you're going to have, like, a giant window where you have no control. And also, I think that ward, well, you know, to be honest with you... Oh, you go.
I remember that one specifically. I was like, oh, wait. The river already has vision.
Yeah.
This is completely redundant.
Yeah. I also think jungle champ specific, this sort of doesn't help for Shaco. Like, normally you need wars on camps for Shaco. Yeah. So, like, yeah, it kind of sucks. It actually does end up just being, like, 2 wasted wards, pretty much. So, like, if you maybe, like, you base here, and then you still have both wards, or whenever it is. Or maybe like if you're not thinking about basing super soon, you just like ward the lane, and then you would know that she'd based. Or you could even ward the lane now, and you would at least know that if she comes back, you would know where she goes with this wave. Because in theory, you don't actually know where she goes here, right? Like a good habit is to just ward before basing. So like you ward, you would know if she's roaming top or bot. Fortunately, she just goes mid, so that's easy. Yeah, like here as well, or whenever it was. Having the ward does kind of suck. But also I think you can kind of tell. Like if she's not showing here, she's probably based, right? Or she's like roaming, so you want to push the wave anyway. So I think you can just blow up these waves.
I was trying to decide if she was roaming or basing, but
yeah,
if I looked at my lanes, where's she gonna roam at that point?
Yeah, true. Okay, yeah, so that ended up pretty fucked for you. Because, like, you're actually up CS, but you're down 200 gold, which feels weird. Which is mainly because, like, the plates have been going, and you've, like, lost XP. Like, you're halfway to level... Oh, she's actually the same. Huh, that's kind of weird. I guess she must have missed a wave somewhere, too. But anyway, like, you should be further ahead of her than you are. This is real good, though. Really nice punish. I like that. Okay, and I think the reason this happens is, like, this is fine.
Walk up to the...
Yeah, I think this is kind of back to that thinking of, like, you want to be hugging towards one side of the lane, and here it's sort of difficult because you have, like, no vision bot side and no vision top side. So at this point, normally you want to buy like one pink for early game, because like what that allows is to place your wards more aggressively, or just to have some vision while your trinket's down. Like if you come and like even pink this bush or pink that bush, at least you have a side to play to. Or same if you do this. But here it's like the initial trade I think is fine if you just like turn around. Like now you're heavy leaning to the side where you actually have no vision. Like it just ends up you have to burn both sums, right? Like, that really sucks. How much gold is Vex ahead? Like 600. Which, yeah. That's really avoidable. And, like, I think if this game played out normally, you know, you guys probably wouldn't win anyway, like, because your team's just getting shit on too hard, but... Like, ultimately, you ended up winning this game, right? And it would have been even easier if you were ahead of Vex.
Yeah. We shouldn't have won.
Yeah.
In theory, but, yeah, I would have...
Yeah. Both these wards also placed at the same time. And they're kind of useless for a Shaco, so...
Yeah.
I feel like all the wards aren't really doing anything. And actually, that is pretty important, because I feel like when you're playing a champ that's weak in skirmishing, pretty much the only thing you can provide to your team early is, like, shitting on your opponent 1v1 and warding. Like, you can't really provide roams or, like, invades. So if like, you're not really beating your opponent 1v1, and you're also not really placing any useful wards, you're just kind of a dead weight for the first 15 minutes, which is not very consistent in solo queue, you know? Like, your teammates will find ways to lose the game before 15 minutes.
Yeah, I've noticed that possibility, and I've been trying to figure out how to mitigate that through my performance, and yeah, I'll definitely focus on warding in these ways better.
Yeah.
Being less passive when I shouldn't be.
Yeah, I think now it's pretty tough. Like, she's gotten a lot of extra gold that she shouldn't have. Get him that ward. Okay, come down bot. Gonna pick up no kills? Wow, that sucks. Yeah, and you lost mid tower for that, which is really, really bad as well. I think it's tough because, like, once your mid tower falls this low, it's gonna fall at some point eventually. Is this actually worth it? Yeah, I think, okay, yeah, I think it's worth it. Like, if you'd killed the Amumu and you get a shutdown, like, you'd be pretty down for that. Kind of unfortunate that he gets out. I think, again, you know, like, if you're just, like, a tiny bit more fed, you kill that Amumu, suddenly you have, like, 800 extra gold. And then, like, yeah, the game actually looks, like, not too bad. Okay, here you really need to, like, not do this. So, in mid-game, like, you probably know, but especially when you're playing Vlad, like, really, really try not to share golden XP. And the thing is, like, a lot of the time, people will be in the wrong spot. So like maybe you should be mid and maybe Ezreal should be bot. But the reality is, if Ezreal groups mid with you, like don't share anything with him. Take this gold and then just go bot. Yeah, because like this is like really bad. It like actively puts you further behind basically because you're sharing. And in the meantime, all that bot gold is going to waste. And Samira gets a tower. Like, oh my god, that ended up really bad. But yeah, just be like willing to go to the sidelines quicker. How does this guy not have a shotgun? And he just ends up one-shotting you both. Yeah. So, yeah, I think you just, like, kill this wave and then go bot. And then it's, like, way better than what happens right here. And that way you just, like, keep up farming. Because the thing is, you know, if your team is this far behind, you know, it's pretty difficult for you to actually pick up kills. But there's really no excuse to why you can't have, you know, 150 CS or something here, right? But your CS is just kind of bleeding because you've mismanaged your lane 1v1 and you're like now mismanaging the side lanes. And that just means, again, like you just barely don't have enough damage to kill this guy. Like if you're just a tiny bit more fed, you kill that Amumu. And then because you kill that Amumu, you have shit tons more gold. And then you kill that guy too. Okay, it's pushing out. This is good. Farming up as much as you can. Yeah, I really like this. I think don't base here. Keep going. So the thing is,
I wasn't sure about this moment.
Okay, well, what were you thinking? What, like, you wanted to fight
well,
Drag or
I was
something?
just thinking if I don't back now, they're gonna just get inhibitor potentially because of how far behind I know my team is and how likely they are to fight.
Hmm.
But I mean, I could definitely see valuing the solo farm.
Yeah, like what I would be
That.
thinking is like Vlad, like if you group, you have no sums and you still only
Oh,
have
that's
one
true.
item. So like you're not even very strong here, right? Like I think you
That's
just
true.
need to
I didn't
keep
think of that.
farming. If they have Herald, maybe you're forced to base because like yeah, your team might just instantly lose the game, but you only want to base here if the game is like literally gonna end because that is 600 gold and an objective bounty right there. That's like 900 gold or
I
something right in
didn't look
front
at
of you.
the tower.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
It's like, let's see what happens instead. Like, rather than going like top, maybe Gromp and Wolves. So let's just call this like 600 plus 300, 100, 100. So this is like 1100 gold right here. And let's see what you do instead. So you base. Yeah, so you essentially base and get 3 creeps, right? So that sucks, obviously.
Yeah.
So the learning would be like when behind, like generally try to like to trade rather than fight. You know, like trade top tower for dragon or trade like their top camps for your mid tower. Like try not to just like group and fight because normally it's not going to work. And then also like kind of take stock of just like how strong you are, because here it's like sure you only have one item, they already have magic resist, so you're like kind of weak, you have no sums, like realistically you can't fight here anyway, so you're better off just tower 2 camps and honestly maybe keep going. Like maybe there's no point even coming here at all. I'm not
True,
sure.
'cause they would go
Like
to dragon.
yeah, it depends how much gold you get. Like, you know, maybe if you get enough here for another item, maybe you group, or maybe if you see them overextending, like maybe you come, but like I would be seriously considering hitting that tower there.
Yeah.
Okay. So you come here. I mean, this ends up decent for you. Like, you end up getting, what, like 300 gold here, and I don't know, 300. So you get 300 gold, which is not bad, but it's a lot less than what you get here.
Yeah.
So I come bot. Kind of watch this on high speed. Here, you should probably... I think this was pretty mismanaged, so let me go back.
Okay.
Okay, first thing is, if you're playing the side lane, you want to push the side lane as far as you can without dying. Because the problem is, if you only push it halfway, you deny yourself more waves. Like, just watch what happens to this wave here. See how it all dies because you didn't push it all the way in? So you just lost an extra wave because you didn't push it. So, like, probably the most efficient thing to do here is to, like... let's go back. I think right now you're safe. Like, they're showing members here. They've got 2 dead. So you shouldn't be scared of pushing this. And you have ghosts. So yeah, you're fine to push this. I think you push this. If someone answers this tower, or rather, okay, if someone doesn't answer this tower, you just take the tower. If someone does answer it, like they're defending it, come take Scuttle Crab, come take Gromp, and take Wolves. But the problem is you can't do all that here because it's never going to be efficient when the bot wave is dying. So like now, sure, you get the Scuttle Crab, but you end up denying yourself 100 gold bot anyway. So, I mean, it doesn't really make sense, right?
I see. Yeah. I think I was worried about someone coming and defending, but I guess I shouldn't have been.
Yeah, I don't think you need to be. Like, you can always ghost out worst case. And, okay, let's say, for example, that, like, let's go back here. If you start pushing this, and then, let's say you try and push the next one, and Cassante's here, then just come back here and take these camps now. Just take Gromp, take Wolves, and then come collect the wave again. Just find some more efficient way of doing this, because, like, what you did here is just... It's, I know it seems maybe kind of small, but it's like really, really bad. Because, you know, you deny yourself a wave, you take a camp, but you lose gold for it. You don't manage to get these 2 camps anyway. You don't deny them any gold on the tower. Like, it's just a horrible side lane mismanagement, pretty much.
Yeah, I didn't even notice.
Yeah, it's really easy to fix as well. So I think, like, now that you're aware of it, it'll be way easier. I think, like, you're not alone in that, by the way. Like, so many mids are terrible at that, even in high rank. Okay, and yeah, I mean, here, I think you're just way too weak. Like, this guy has fucking 3.5 items. I guess, like, what can we do here? I'm not even sure you can really do anything. I think you're just too weak. But like again, you know, let's say that you'd gotten like, if you'd gotten this top tower before, maybe you're 1 item here. And if you've gotten extra camps, like yeah, you could probably be 2 items here, I think. And if you're 2 items, like let's say you've got like Shadow Flame, you know, maybe she dies. Like, honestly, maybe she's just too dead.
Me, but maybe I did.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe, like, your team wins this just a little bit easier than they did. You know, like, it all adds up. It's kind of like that butterfly effect of, like, if you're just a tiny bit more fed, the fight looks a bit cleaner, and then, like, maybe you don't lose inhib, or something like that. But yeah, let's kind of just, like, skip through the rest of the game, see the fights. But I think we've kind of found the main issue with this game. Actually, one thing I'd maybe consider would be going Zhonya's instead of Shadow Flame this game. Because they're basically full AD, right? Like it's the 3 strong AD carries, and like Vex can't really hit you in fights anyway. And also like Zhonya's is good against Vex too. So I'd maybe consider Zhonya's second here instead of Shadow Flame. Obviously it's nice to go full damage, but it also doesn't really matter if you just like die instantly to this guy because he does like 500 damage per auto. That's pretty tragic. Okay, this guy's 0-14 and you won this game, what the fuck?
That did a lot of work.
Okay, that's a good kill, and you guys get the dragon. So that's looking good. Come back here and farm. Also, I think that, like, the combination of bad side laning, dying because you're already behind, and, like, your weak lane means you're, like, only 180 CS at 25, when you can very easily be, like, 230 at this time, even when you're losing. In fact, I think if you'd played this this game really selfishly and just like ignored the fuck out of your team, I could literally see you at like 260, 270 right now, you know? Like you've missed a lot of side waves. And the other thing to consider is like the more fed you get, the easier it becomes to keep farming, right? Because you one-shot waves faster, you kill camps quicker.
True.
So you can just like keep accelerating more and more. And if you're like, you know, let's say you're level 16 here with 100 or like even 70 more CS. Like, you guys, you're just gonna win. It's like, yeah. So that guy stole... Ooh, I like this.
Yeah, he stole Baron. I thought that was a good ult, but...
Wow, I'm surprised no one died. Okay. I mean, I like it. I think, again, maybe you're just, like, a bit too weak, because... Oh, let's see it again. I mean, that looked good to me. Fuck does that guy not die? He live on, like... Oh, he gets honey fruit, man. No way. Oh, that's so sad. To be honest, I think I would still go for this. It kind of sucks. You just gotta be like a tiny bit more fed here. Because if you can't like go for giant flash ults like that on Vlad, it's like, what's the point of playing Vlad then, right? You know, like that's the whole point of the champ. Okay, nice. They throw. Okay, let's just kind of skip through. Look at some of these other fights. Oh my god, a Magi. Like this is fucking insane, man.
Yeah.
I think that should just be a Zonya's or even like Rabadon's. I feel like Magi's, when you guys are this far behind, is real bad because you're basically guaranteed to die at some point. But, I mean, if you know you're not going to die, then I guess you're just the best player in the world. I mean, hey, it kind of worked out. Never mind, it did not work
Yeah.
out.
I could have made it out there.
Yeah. Let's actually look at the fight. Was the fight good? Just kind of watching the Magi's. That's up pretty well. Yeah, good ult onto lots of members. Yeah, I actually think your team fighting was like pretty solid. So don't have a big problem with that. And I could see that like if your team fighting is good, it could help make up for your like weak laning and stuff, right? At the same time, if you just get better at laning, you'll find team fighting to be a million times easier.
What I really like is to be so good at laning that team fights, it's just like I'm always fed.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This looks good. Yeah, like again, really nice flank and also really good patience. Like this is like high level team fighting in my opinion, what you're doing here. It's like interesting, you know, it's like diamond or whatever level team fighting and then it's like silver level laning, so you just meet somewhere in the middle. But yeah, no, that's like really, really nice. And good focus on a Samira as well. What the fuck? She's just so strong, man. I guess she's just full build. That's so sad. Like, I think you play this well. You're just like way too far behind and she's just way too strong. But yeah, I don't have any problem with that.
And then I think at some point they're like at our nexus, and then Samira just 1v5s under our towers. We obviously kill her. And well, it's just repeated throws from them.
Yeah. Okay, so I think this was maybe a little... Let me think about this. I don't think you want to be in the pit. I think you want to be staying like out here and just like let them keep doing it, and then like when they come in you can look to punish, because I think you make the decision making really easy for Samira here if you just like all of you position in front of her, you know. I think if you're like always threatening the side, it's really scary for her to walk in. Like, to be honest, this guy kind of ints anyway, but I'm pretty sure if Samira's good, she can just like, she doesn't need to dash onto you, she can just like fight you from here, and then like she kills you and then she'll kill your team. But like she makes the fight fast, even though if she plays it slow, like she's just gonna kill everyone. So you kind of got lucky there. I'd say in general, like obviously we kind of talked about before how Vlad is a flanking champ, but one thing to like really consider is that from the ADC POV, if they can see Vlad before the fight starts, like positioning is really easy for them, right? Like if you're just in front of them and you're like stacked up with the whole team, it's real easy. But if it's like this where you're in a bush and they walk up, like that's amazing for you. Or even if like here you make them make a decision, like you're just standing here kind of menacingly, you know, and it's like if they walk in you just collapse on them, then it's like real hard for them.
Like if they go to that spot that's advantageous for them, they're putting themselves into the flank.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so it actually ends up decent, but it's more because Samira is not very good. And then you guys get Baron. Okay, well I think that's pretty much all we need to see from that game, honestly. So again, I'd say to work on from this game, the early game is really big, so I'm just going to put like early game as a whole. We kind of already talked about the specifics, and you can always go back and watch the video if you like want to have a look at it. I think like side lane management and also like efficient pathing in the mid game. So just like make sure like push the side wave all the way in if you can, and like yeah, trying to make sure you don't. Normally you want to go like waves and then camps rather than like wave camps wave, because it ends up you just lose the creeps anyway. And then I also think be like willing to trade objectives from behind. Like just play selfishly, get yourself those towers, get that gold. I think that'll all be good. And then maybe a little bit of just like, yeah, finding I'll put finding flanks, but you kind of know what I mean, right? Just like trying to just make it a little bit more difficult for them. Talk about sharing golden XP. Oh yeah, maybe also consider if you have sums or not. I think that's pretty important. Okay, I think that's pretty much everything. So I will copy that over to you now. Do you have any questions about any of this?
Um, no, I think my pain points have been addressed.
Okay. I think if you're not sure how to play like a certain matchup, it can be good. Like let me just if you just go to YouTube and you type something like Vladimir versus Akali, you can either watch like Elite 500, like he's a Vlad one trick, or you can go like yeah, Sally also is a really good Vladimir. He's like Chinese like 2000 LP, or you can type like Korean Challenger and you'll get like tons of VODs that you can watch. And if you just look at them, like I guarantee it's gonna look very different from how your early game works, you know? And you'll just get an idea of kind of how it plays out.
I do that occasionally, and it impresses me how aggressive they can be. But I just I guess I don't have the confidence, but I should realize that I need to practice that.
Yeah, it's pretty important because like we said, like if you're not warding well early and you're not pressuring the lane, you are just like playing Cassidon pretty much, you know, you're just like
Yeah, I'm just
doing nothing.
hoping that I
Yeah,
get the coin flipped,
yeah,
playing
basically.
this for
Yeah.
15 minutes.
I think a lot of this is like some of it's easy to fix, some of it's more difficult, but all of it I think has a pretty big impact. So yeah, I'll upload the session, and if you have other questions, like just message me on Discord whenever. Um, yeah, I'll
Um,
like try to respond.
I guess I have a quick question.
Sure.
Would you recommend continuing to one trick Vladimir, or should I try to bring like a second champion and
I think one
my
tricking
other?
Vlad is fine.
Okay,
I mean, if there's another champ you really enjoy, like you know, add that, and I'm down. But yeah, I don't really have any problems with one tricking Vlad.
okay. I do enjoy a couple others, but they have vastly different play styles,
What
and
other
so I don't
champs do you
feel
play?
confident. Tristana and Diana.
Oh yeah, okay, those are
So
both
it's like
pretty different.
AD carry and assassin
Yeah, yeah, that is really
versus my
weird.
scaling mage.
If you did want stuff that was similar, I would say, where's the champ list? Miz. I'd say stuff that's like similar in playstyle to Vlad would be, I think Victor is really similar, like strong 1v1, sort of wants to scale, but he's like more of a front to back rather than a flanker, so it is like a little different. I would say, what else? There's not that many. Honestly, are there any others that really play like that? There's not a whole lot. Honestly, Vlad is like reasonably unique. I guess like maybe Rumble plays a little bit like Vlad, but it is
Huh.
the early game's a fair amount different. I guess Swain also is quite similar to Vlad, and like you have windows to punish. Yeah, Swain's like
Okay.
sort of similar too. So there's a couple champs that are similar to Vlad, but yeah, I mean nothing is quite like Vlad to be honest.
Okay. I mean, I really enjoy him, so I don't
Yeah.
mind just playing him.
All right, well, that sounds good to me. So I'll upload this. I'll send it to you a bit later. And yeah, if you have questions, message me. But otherwise, I think we're all good.
Yeah, great. Thank you. This has been great.
All right, I'll see you later and good luck.
See ya. Thank
Bye
you.
bye.